Picture this. You're scrolling through your feed, right? After a hurricane, maybe. Hearts in your throat, just hoping for a glimpse of, I don't know, loved ones, a familiar street.
Sure.
But then it hits you. What if that video of the flooded bakery or that photo of a destroyed landmark?
Right.
What if they're totally fake?
Yeah.
That's the messed up reality we're wading into today on this deep dive. How deepfakes can warp our understanding and even our feelings about natural disasters.
And deepfakes, that's our focus today. We're talking about AI-generated content, images, videos, even audio.
The scary part.
So good, so convincing that it's almost impossible to tell it apart from the real thing.
Exactly. It's like, what can you trust, you know?
Wow.
And we stumbled on this really disturbing story about Hurricane Helene. Fake videos were popping up everywhere online, adding another layer of chaos onto an already chaotic situation.
Oh, absolutely. I remember that. And it's not just Helene. I mean, this is becoming a pattern. And you can't underestimate that feeling of just not knowing what's real anymore.
Total information overload.
Exactly. Information overload. That's actually a key term here, what experts call verification fatigue. Think about it. You're constantly on edge, scrutinizing every image, every video, every single post for any little sign that it might be fake.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. And studies actually show that over time, it can lead people to just tune out entirely.
It's like they just give up, right?
They just give up. Even when the information is genuinely important, I just can't take it anymore.
And I think what really gets me is this. Imagine seeing a picture of your childhood home, right?
Yeah.
Wiped out by a wildfire, let's say.
Yeah.
You feel that gut punch, that grief. But then, and this is the messed up part, you discover that some AI cooked the whole thing up. It adds this whole other layer of trauma.
Absolutely. It's like being emotionally played with, right? And the research backs this up. Shock, grief, anger, even betrayal. Those are all natural reactions to these scenarios.
Of course.
But there's a really insidious effect here. Repeated exposure to these fake but realistic depictions of suffering. It can actually numb people to genuine suffering. It's like empathy burnout. Their emotional reserves are just tapped out from constantly being tricked.
Wow. So it goes from this is overwhelming to this is actually dangerous really quickly then. We're not just talking about, some internet prank gone wrong. This has real world implications. Like if people are doubting everything they see, how can aid organizations even function?
Exactly. That's the crux of it. When deepfakes become this prevalent, especially in these disaster situations, trust just erodes. We've seen studies where people who were exposed to disaster-related deepfakes were significantly, I'm talking 30% less likely to donate to legitimate relief efforts.
Wow, that's huge.
Huge. And it goes beyond donations, less likely to volunteer their time, even less likely to heed official warnings from authorities because that seed of doubt, it's already been planted. And in a crisis, that hesitation, it can be the difference between life or death.
Absolutely. And I keep thinking about, the communities that are already facing so many challenges, the ones who rely on that quick, effective aid.
Yeah.
If people hesitate, even for a second, because they're not sure what's real, the impact could be devastating.
It's like a double hit for those communities. And then you've got to factor in the scammers, right?
Right, yeah.
The ones who see this chaos as prime time for exploitation. Fake donation drives using deepfakes to appear totally legitimate. Phishing scams designed to prey on people's good intentions. It creates this awful cycle that makes recovery even harder.
Okay, so we've gone pretty dark here.
Yeah.
But it can't all be doom and gloom. There's got to be something we can do right.
Wow.
Oh, absolutely. Look, the biggest thing is awareness. Knowledge is power. We need to become more savvy, more discerning consumers of information, especially in the online world. It sounds basic, but sharpening those critical thinking skills is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question your sources. Where'd this come from? Who posted it?
Yeah.
Cross-reference information. Does it line up with what other reputable sources are saying?
Makes sense.
And listen to your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. And then, of course, supporting those organizations, the real heroes out there fighting misinformation. Huge.
They're the front lines of this whole thing. So it's kind of like becoming digital detectives in a way, right?
Exactly. Always be questioning, always be verifying.
But it's bigger than just, spotting fakes. It's about safeguarding that human element of compassion, that desire to help each other when things get rough.
Exactly.
Because if we let technology chip away at that, we've lost something way more valuable than just accurate information.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up here, something to chew on. In a world where seeing isn't believing, how do we ensure that our capacity for compassion, for empathy, stays real? Something to think about.